million tons of paper are recycled into cellulose insulation. This paper is collected from municipal recycling programs, organizations using paper drives as fundraisers, as well as printers, newspaper distributors, and other sources. What some people might consider trash is put to good use, insulating buildings to save on winter heating and summer cooling bills. Our goal at the Cellulose Insulation Manufacturers Association is to save energy in homes and businesses by diverting paper from waste disposal and reducing the amount of trash going to landfills. Speaking of landfills, paper products are the single biggest component of the municipal solid waste, making up over 38% of the material deposited in landfills in the United States. Every ton of recycled paper saves more than 3 cubic yards of landfill space, conserves the equivalent of 17 trees worth of lumber, saves 7,000 gallons of water, cuts water and air pollution by 95%, and saves 11 barrels or 462 gallons of oil. And all of those savings are before installing cellulose insulation into your home or business. While every type of building insulation saves energy, cellulose insulation has so many advantages over other thermal materials. Cellulose has a much smaller impact on the environment. Statistics will show that cellulose insulation is the most environmentally friendly insulation product on the market today. We like to call it the greenest of the green, and here's why. The production of cellulose insulation uses far less energy than either fiberglass or foam insulating products. This is often called embodied energy, which is factored as the sum of the total energy required to transport raw materials, to manufacture the product, and deliver it to the work site. Canadian Building Magazine estimates that fiberglass uses at least 10 times more embodied energy than cellulose, and foam insulation uses 64 times as much energy as recycled paper. Unlike cellulose insulation, foam insulation products are made from petroleum, which is a non-renewable resource. Cellulose insulation is already recognized as a green building material because it earns architects and builders points under the U.S. Green Building Council's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design program, as well as the National Association of Home Builders Green Building Program. The high R value and density of the cellulose insulation provides excellent thermal barriers, soundproofing, as well as fire retardation. Particularly in climates with either hot summers or cold winters, cellulose insulation performs better than fiberglass when the differences between indoor and outdoor temperatures increases. Protect your home and business from high energy bills and do your part to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Cellulose insulation, the performance choice, the environmental choice, the right choice.
One type of insulation material is cellulose fibre, made from recycled paper. It's derived from a natural source, wood fibre, so it's non-polluting. It contains no asbestos, no fiberglass, and no formaldehyde. Insulation keeps your home warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Like other insulation materials, cellulose fibre has to meet strict government safety standards. One fire safety test assesses smoulder resistance. A sample from the production line is weighed, and then a lit cigarette is inserted into it. Once the cigarette burns out, after about an hour, the sample is weighed again. The weight loss must be less than 15%. Making cellulose insulation begins with recycled paper, delivered in bulk. It's loaded by hand onto a conveyor belt, and from that point on, the entire process is automated. The paper goes into a machine called the primary mixer. It separates the bunched up pieces, preparing them for shredding. The machine's powerful magnet removes staples, paper clips and other pieces of metal. From there, the paper goes into a shredder, which rips it into pieces about 5 centimeters long. The shredded paper is mixed with boric acid, a natural compound that acts as a fire retardant. It also makes the insulation pest resistant, and it helps fend off mold, wood decay and corrosion. Now a machine called a fiberizer shreds the paper into tiny pieces about 4 millimeters long, and it mixes them with more boric acid. From the time the recycled paper arrives by truck to the time it comes off the line as cellulose fibre insulation, only about 5 minutes have passed. The insulation doesn't leave the factory before undergoing thorough safety testing. This test assesses what's called open flammability. The insulation is heated to 50 degrees Celsius to stimulate the temperature of a roof in the hot sun. Then it's ignited. The flame travels but then dies out, thanks to the boric acid. If that happens within a certain distance, the insulation is safe. Outside research firms also test the product for safety, to verify the results of the company's tests. The automated packaging equipment blows 11.3 kilograms of insulation into a bag, whilst at the same time compressing the fibre into a block. Some types of thermal insulation come as thick rectangular blankets known as bats. These will be installed by hand, fitting snugly between the wall studs. Cellulose fibre doesn't come in bats. It's known as loose fill insulation. A professional installer has to inject it in between the walls by spraying it in under pressure. It fills all the spaces without any gaps, something that's hard to do with pre-shaped bats. Insulating performance is referred to as R value. The higher the R value, the more effective the insulation. Cellulose fibre insulation has a higher R value than loose fill mineral fibre insulation, and a similar R value to loose fill fiberglass. Cellulose fibre is denser than other materials, so it resists air movement better, making it less likely to move out of place after installation. And it saves money on your heating bills.